Hey there. So today we're going to be looking at this software called FreeCAD. It's not necessarily a tutorial today, but we are going to look at how difficult is it to use, is it intuitive, user-friendly, etc. FreeCAD is free. I know, shocker. Compared to other softwares that do similar things, that's kind of amazing because this is open source and you are able to use this for commercial reasons. You know, if I wanted to create something, design something, and then sell that design or sell that product, I can do that to my heart's content. With SolidWorks, you're going to be paying around $4,000 a year plus a maintenance fee of like $1,000 for that. With Inventor from Autodesk, you're going to be paying like $2,000. You could do Fusion 360 for about $500. AutoCAD is probably a similar price, and that's yearly if you want to stay updated, which you do. But this is free, and it looks like it even has some calculation and simulation capabilities. I don't know much about any of this, so we'll be learning together, and it'll be interesting to see what this can do and how easy is it to do. When I first recorded this video, I tried to go in completely blind without looking anything up, and that was very hard. I would say if you're not somebody who knows how to use Google to your heart's content, then you're going to struggle. There is a lot of documentation though, and it seems to be well done. And so I would definitely, if you're not going to go to Google, look here. So after a few videos on YouTube that are out there, some tutorials, those did actually help quite a lot. I still don't understand why they did certain things the way they did, why they named certain features the way they did, and why some of the features that I'm used to and expecting aren't there. But I'm just going to chalk that up to it's free open source software. So we're going to go into this understanding that this is free, but also like appreciating that it's free. So the first thing I did was I went to edit and preferences, and I changed a few different things. So if you're just now starting, it may look a little different to you. So in a tutorial video, I may go over this. There's other videos that show good settings, and really this should be personally what you want the most. So today we're actually going to make a part that we could 3D print. This is called a chopstick rest. I got this from a friend who went to Japan, and he brought it back, and it came in a puzzle. It's probably a really common gift to give people, and they're amazing. I love them. I love eating with chopsticks. And when you're eating, you don't just want to sit your chopsticks into the bowl because they'll fall out. It's also considered rude. And anyway, the video's not about a chopstick rest. So if you press Control in, you'll notice that my background probably is different. So we're going to go to Part Design, and then we're going to create a body. You want to create a body. If you go to Model rather than Tasks, you will see Unnamed Body here. So unnamed is the part, and body is kind of like a feature that we created. It's like a organized place for some features for this particular physical 3D geometry. I know that doesn't quite sound intuitive at all, but that's fine. So we're going to save this, and I'm going to name this Chopstick Rest. It probably should be 2 words. You can see I've done this a couple times. All right. So it has a name and it has a body. So where's the geometry? There's none yet. We're going to use the 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. keys. If you look here, we're changing views. This is grayed out. If you press spacebar, you can see these are your planes here. So we're going to go to the front plane, which is the XZ plane. And I'm going to go ahead and hide these. And let's see, 1 is the front. So let's go and create a sketch, which is this. And we're going to use the XZ plane. All right. So once we've created a sketch and we're in the sketch, you see up here our workspace changed to Sketcher. I'm actually going to bring this down here. Probably make it easier for me. And I don't really need these, but we'll just keep them for now. Oops. All right. Home 1. Okay, so something that I kind of expect from any CAD software is the ability to make a rectangle that has a center on the origin, but there's no option for that in the software that I have found. So what I saw as a good alternative is if you... Where's the points for that? Okay, I feel like that rectangle wasn't drawn right somehow. There you go. It would... Oh, where'd they go again? What is that? Okay, there we go. Free software. Free software. All right, so if you go to the symmetry tool, you click on this point here, click on that point there, and then click on the point you want it to be centered on, and there you go. Now, it should give you the exact same result that it's constrained to there. So the center of this rectangle is at this point I dictated, which is the origin in this case. And if you look here, it actually tells you the degrees of freedom, which is something I kind of want to know that most softwares don't tell you. It will say if it's not constrained, but even some don't. But this is cool. It will tell me when it's constrained in here too, once those degrees of freedom are gone. So if we look at the picture of the chopstick rest, you can see from left to right here, I'm measuring it with my calipers, it's 42 millimeters. So one shortcut, oops, I pressed my 3D mouse here. If you press Shift D, you are able to do that, which since I clicked on a line, it wants to do the entire line. We want to do from point to point. Unfortunately, we have to do it that way. So we're going to do 42. And the height, we're going to call that, from bottom to top here of the view, is around 15 millimeter. So now we want to do that, and it's 15. Okay, so you can see that it's fully constrained now. Great, love it. It's all green, these are green. I can't move this box any way I want. Can't happen. So now, what do we do with this 2D shape? If you're new to CAD, we use these 2D shapes generally to create 3D geometry. So we want to go from Sketcher, which would be like on a piece of paper, to what they're calling part design, which is now we're like in some sort of, imagine like an artist who's going to use this as instructions. Now, in software like CAD, SolidWorks, it'd be extrusions, but here they call it pad. Whatever, and you have to do this in a body, so you have to have this sketch be inside the body, which is a fine. We're basically saying this sketch belongs to body. I kind of like that they force you to do this in a way that allows you to be much more organized by habit. A lot of times I'll have just sketches everywhere. SolidWorks will do this as well, but they don't do it hyper organized, and you'll see what I mean later. So we're going to pad this, and if we look at this front view here, we're going to go deep by 17 millimeters. So we're going to type 17, and I'm going to do symmetric to plane. So the very center of the X, Y, Z planes, where they all meet at the very center of the entire universe in this design, is going to be the center of this rectangle here. Because our sketch is centered, our geometry center, everything's center. So if I show you that, you can see the entirety of the universe here centered right there inside our rectangle. Very serious business. All right, that will help you later if you learn to create origins that make sense. Where am I placing this part? Once you get into assemblies, it's very important. I know this isn't a tutorial, but I can't help but tell you guys that I always think about it, and working with other people's work. I've noticed some people care, some people don't care, but once you deal with like hundreds of parts in an assembly, you kind of care a little bit. But anyway, so we're going to need to cut a certain shape, that little place where the chopstick rests onto it. We're going to make another sketch. Now, I had an error come up, which only came up one time doing this. Let's see if it happens again. I have selected this face here by clicking on it, and I want to create another sketch. And I'm going to choose that again. It did not happen. Okay, so nothing happened. So I'm going to go to Sketcher, Workspace. There it is. I'm going to click here and create sketch and flat face. So it's doing on that flat face. See, I get this error, and I don't know why I'm now getting this error. It must have been something I changed. Okay, I think I figured it out. So I'm going to control click that face and then do that. What? No. Oh, wait. Attach it here. I'm gonna close this and then update. I don't think it's a problem now. Okay, I figured out why it was an issue. So I'm gonna go ahead and destroy that sketch. So when I was creating that sketch before, I would, if I do this, create that face, close. So if you look at the feature tree here, or the model tree, or whatever, this part here, if I do that, it's not attached to the body. It wants to live inside the body. So if you get that error, it just means that your sketch is outside of the scope of your body, which is weird, but we figured it out exactly what the issue was. So there's also a way to project some lines from our body here. Let's see if I can find it again. I think it looked like that. No. So we go to part design. That's what it is. Go to part design. Oh, no. External geometry. That was the button. Uh-huh. Yeah, I know. I need to click these ones. So it won't work for face, but I can choose edges. Nope. Come on. There we go. No! Sorry. Okay. So we've got our edges here. These are just like construction geometry, basically. So we're going to go back to Sketcher, and I'm going to draw a line here and a line here. And those are both horizontal or vertically constrained. And then I'm going to do symmetry between here, here, and here. And you see it, there's an error. If I go back to tasks, you can see something's not good about that. So I'm going to undo it. And I'm going to actually dimension these. Point to point. Sure. And then point to point. And what this will be is going to be reference for our the arc. So there's that flat face at the top, and then that arc comes in. So it's going to be when the arc starts at the top of that part. So I'm going to do 35. And then this software can do equations. So 35 and a half. And then I'm going to do a reference dimension. And you click reference. Let's see here. I want that to be closer to 4, so let's do 37. Oh, I went through. Duh. Sorry. Let's do 35. Was it 35 already? Yeah, it was. So let's do 34. And I believe you could do this with like equations where this one would follow that one. But that's for another video. I'm not sure if I can do that or not. And I want these two to be construction geometry. So now that they're this color, it means they won't be used as structural information when I create what's called a pocket, which we'll get into. So we're going to draw an arc now. From here to there. Oop, that was center point. We want just a endpoint. Clicky, click. And then right. I don't want it to be attached to there. So I'm going to actually draw another line. From here to here. And I want this to be vertically under it. So if you can't find the thing you're looking for, if you go up to here, it'll give you all the options. So if you're in Sketch, it'll say Sketch. If you're in Parts, it'll be like Part Feature stuff. So I want it to be vertically constrained. So now this can't move. It's basically doing a midpoint of this line, but I don't know if this has midpoints yet. And what this will do is control the height of my arc. So we're going to go back to that, draw this to here, and then it'll touch, and now it's going to want to stay touched. So this will change my arc here. And I'm going to make this a construction line. And then I'm going to dimension it vertically. Let's try 7. That looks pretty good, and now we'll need one more line to make this part here, which we're cutting, a closed shape. I don't think it'll use the projected quote-unquote line. All right, so we're going to close our sketch and save, and you can see our sketch here, and that's what we're going to use to remove some geometry. I'm going to go back to part design. And so it looks like pad is kind of your extrusions or your extruded boss or whatever that you might not be aware of. These are kind of commands in other softwares. And pocket is for removing material. So pad makes material. These blue ones kind of cut things. That kind of makes sense. I mean, even with the fillets and chamfers over here, that's kind of how those work. They remove material using, this one uses arcs, that one uses angles, you know, math. But so pocket, and it already created here, you can change it. Symmetric on plane, I don't care for that. That would be like if this was centered, I guess. We're gonna do through all. It even has through all. It has up to face to first, just like SolidWorks has, which is pretty neat. So yeah, we have the general shape of what we were making. But if we want it to look a little nicer, we can go to our fillets here, and it wants you to select first what you're gonna actually be using rather than what normally happens, which was you select a feature and then the things you want to include in it. So it's a little annoying, to be honest, because I would rather select the feature rather than all of these at first, but it's fine, especially because I can't go through here. I mean, if I go here, I can change visibilities, drawing style, that's it, wireframe, but it's just another click, you know. I think that's all of them. Let's choose these ones as well. We won't do those yet. I'm trying to think How? Oh, that's killer. I just deselected all. See, that's why I like selecting the feature first, because normally that wouldn't happen. So we're gonna fill it, and then come back to the drawing style that makes sense to my eyes, which is shaded. Let's not do shaded. No shading. Ooh, not this one. Where flat lines? I think it's flat lines. So I don't like this. I want to remove these. I'll just rotate the part. These 3D mice are they are something. All right, I believe I wanted these ones here too. But we can also change the amount. I'm going to go down to 0.75 because it's a little too cartoony for me. I just double clicked and I'm going to click add. Choose these ones too. Press OK. If you press number 1, it'll go back to the front face. Same thing for 2 through, let's see here, 6, and it shows you the different faces you can choose here. It's a good way to find your place again. So that looks good. I want it to look good from ISO here as well. So we're going to go back to the fillet, and I'm going to do this one as a different one. Sorry, you clicked your faces first. So now that is all been filleted in a single line, you could actually just click these faces here. You have to control click, and then I'm going to do it at the same amount. And so there you got your first part here. I know it's kind of rickety and not polished here. Again, this is not a tutorial, still learning the software, but we've created a part here which we could easily 3D print. And I mean, really, it's not too hard. I'd say that this is probably, if SolidWorks is like a 8.5 out of 10 for user easeability of use, I would give this like a 4, maybe a 3. So SolidWorks is actually not too bad. It's pretty intuitive. Most of them are all the same stuff, just different words. But this one, there's some caveats. There's actual issues with how to think about it if you are not accustomed to CAD at all. So I would give this like a 3.5 for how easy is it to use. Maybe a 3. It just kind of depends on what you're doing. And what I noticed down here is it's not just for CAD users, it seems. It seems like it's for like video game design as well. There's Blender and Maya gestures here, which is interesting because I don't know how they could do all of that like Blender does, which is another free software. And I would say that one, I've tried that, is like maybe a 1 on my list of like how hard is it to use. I would say that is the ultimate in anti-user ability, but if you know Blender, good on you. So if you go to your preferences here, you can see display. No, wait, sorry. I go to our workspaces here. Ray tracing is a thing. So that really, in my mind, I think that means something to do with light and video games. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but anyway, we got our first part here. I hope you learned something. I did. And if you enjoyed this content or you want to see more specific tutorials, I'd love to learn and then show you how to do it as well. So if you enjoyed this video and learned something, please like and subscribe. Put a comment down what you want to see more in this series. I'd love to show you. Thank you for watching this video. I look forward to the next one.